What did everybody have for breakfast?
I didn't have anything. I had lunch.
You got my lunch right here.
I had some
A
lunch.
Celsius
he's
and a,
different. I had lunch. I
Okay.
had a nice salad for lunch.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What's your go-to salad?
Oh, wow.
Like a Caesar,
Go-to
a chop,
salad?
a
Probably
cob.
grilled chicken.
Grilled chicken.
So Maple,
Okay.
so it used to be La Peeps on Rangeline Road.
Oh, yeah.
So they rebranded. Now they're Maple. They have a nice Mediterranean salad with grilled chicken.
Nice.
Yeah.
All
Their best omelet, though, is the Windjammer by far.
What's in a Windjammer?
It's a egg white omelet with avocado, sun-dried tomatoes, spinach. I don't think there's any meat.
Okay.
It's kind of a frou-frou omelet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool.
I mean, this
You're eating so healthy, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
frou-frou.
Yeah.
but then we'll wash it down. Being from Wisconsin, we'll wash it down with some cheese curds and some spotted cow.
Yeah,
Why not, right? Yeah.
Salad's an
I
appetizer.
just came back with a full load. So.
Yeah.
I did as well. So we were talking earlier. I was up in Green Bay 2 weeks ago, and naturally, right before we got back to Illinois, I was like, "Oh wait, we gotta make a quick stop. Hit some grocery store." And
Festival.
we get up there. It's me and Les, our ops manager, and we have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 cases of spotted cow, and he had another case of one of their other flavors or versions, whatever. And she just looks at us. She goes, "You guys aren't from Wisconsin, are you?" I'm like, no.
No.
She's like,
We had
cool.
8 cases of spotted cow.
Right.
Yeah. And some pork rinds. You got to throw some pork rinds in there.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I look forward to consuming those here soon.
Soon.
It's good beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Wish we could get it in Indiana, but not yet.
It would take the allure away, I feel like.
I
wouldn't
would.
it?
It would.
It is strictly Wisconsin
That's it.
only, right?
Yeah. New Glarus is Wisconsin only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good
I
stuff.
feel it'd take something special away from it if it became. It's like, what's the Yingling that
Yingling,
is now like.
Yeah.
It's now
expanded-
everywhere.
Now everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
It was like
something-
Zombie Dust, too. Zombie Dust was like a buzz, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too hoppy for me. I'm not a big IPA guy.
Yeah.
I will say, so this goes back, I don't know, 6-7 years. One of the best summer dinners I ever had was up in Door County. And we went to this place, and they were did not know beforehand, go in, of course, spotted cow on tap. They were having a basically fried walleye, all you can eat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
I'll be sitting right here
Yeah.
till
You're
I
like,
say I'm
just
done.
Keep rolling it in. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Wisconsin's
great.
good for that stuff, man. I mean, you can find some good kind of hole-in-the-wall restaurants that will like, man, this is great.
Yeah.
Especially supper clubs,
Yeah.
They'll have some. We had a place that we rent up near St. Germain, and there's a place up there, same thing. It's like it's a hole in the wall, but they have the best, like prime rib and walleye, and like the best is a salad bar. Because if you go into a supper club in Wisconsin and there's not a salad bar, turn around and leave. Like just leave.
Go to a different one.
Oh yeah, just turn around and leave. And if
Yeah.
they don't have like cottage cheese, pickled beets, the good Wisconsin traditional stuff, just turn around and walk out. You'll see people walk in, they'll look at the salad bar and they'll be like, let's go somewhere else. Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
And fresh
That's
soups,
awesome.
nice soups on there. You know, yeah.
Good to know. If you would, a little Wisconsinism, define a supper club. What is a supper club versus just a regular restaurant?
There really isn't a difference. It's probably the salad bar, but a supper club is kind of the old, like the old house that you'd find off the road, like on some kind of gravel road in Wisconsin, like, Bob's Supper Club. And it's really not much different than a restaurant. It's just that I suppose for food and things like that, there's more traditional Wisconsin kind of food when you think of like Friday night fish fries,
Right.
Or like Braunschweiger.
Okay.
Like as an appetizer, a good Braunschweiger plate, or like a pickled pig's foot. That's another good one up there. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then the salad bar is a big one. That's a big part of a supper
perk.
club. Yeah, and they always have, like I said, they always have like fresh soups. Like wild mushroom soup or some crap like that, or I don't know, beer and cheese soup or something. But it's always the soups, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always. I think the salad bar and the soup is probably the hook.
Okay.
And prime rib. Prime rib's good too.
Yeah, you
who
can't go
doesn't
wrong
love a
with
good prime rib?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got to have a
Yeah.
pan-fried seared walleye. That's a standard.
Yeah, that sounds
that's a
good.
standard.
All right, now that all of our listeners and viewers are thoroughly confused with what the hell is this episode
Well,
about?
then hopefully they'll just travel up there and try it out.
Yeah.
I don't know what Braunschweiger is or whatever.
You've never had Braunschweiger?
No, I've never had Braunschweiger.
It's like
I don't know. I don't
it's like
know.
a liver pate.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right.
unique flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a unique.
Yeah.
That's a
and
very well
texture.
said. Very well said. It's a unique flavor.
It's a unique flavor and texture.
Yeah.
Put it
Okay.
that way. Yeah. Comes in a tube.
Right. You may or may not want to smell it before you eat it.
The more you talk, the less it sells.
If you stack some cheese and onions on it, it's good. And then chase it down with spotted cow.
Okay.
You should be good to go.
You know, maybe if I'm drunk enough, I'll give it a shot. Have a lot of spotted cow before.
There you go. That's fine. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Or brandy old fashioned.
Yeah.
That'd be another good one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this thing on?
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Summits Podcast. Thank all you guys for joining us, whether you're from Wisconsin or not. We appreciate you joining wherever you get your podcast, or if you're joining us on the Heroes Foundation YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. As you have already witnessed, our guest today is a born and bred Wisconsin Badger, but we will not hold that against him. He's good people.
Thank you.
Mr. Brandon Leum.
Thank you,
Brandon,
man.
welcome to the Summits Podcast.
Thank you for having me on here, man. It's exciting. I've been trying to get on here for a couple of years now, but
We have a thorough.
I was on a wait list.
We have a,
The vetting process is very,
Yeah, as
I
you
mean,
can
either
tell.
you're super desperate or I just got on the list. One of the two, right?
Well, you talked about earlier, prior to the episode, we were talking about a visit you made to General Dynamics
Yeah.
and some of the things you had to do to enter that place.
Yeah.
The podcast is kind of like the same
It
way.
is. I mean,
Man.
it's a vetting process for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, long applications,
Top secret
interviews.
status.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
good, though.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Well, we're glad to have
Yeah,
you.
thanks, man.
Brandon, why don't you we already shared a lot of the Wisconsin piece, but why don't you share with our viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Well, as you said, grew up in Wisconsin, so La Crosse, Wisconsin, or a small town outside of it called Coon Valley, town of 600 people, but grew up in a dairy kind of farming community, if you will. Lived there until I was a little over 10 years old, and then relocated to Indiana. So my mom ended up taking a job down here with a company called George S. Olive, which is an accounting firm downtown Indy, which landed us here. So myself, my brother, and my sister, around I think it was 1981, I think somewhere in there. So 80s and early Indy.
Yeah.
But so went to Avon High School, the Avon Orioles. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of, as Vince said, I'm definitely born and bred Wisconsin, but I've lived in Indiana now for just about 40 years, and so I feel like I can say I'm a Hoosier anyways to some extent.
Yep.
Both kids went to IU, so that qualifies me.
Nice.
And as we also talked earlier, I wrote a lot of checks to the great state or great school of Indiana University.
Yep.
But let's go Hoosiers. But grew up in Avon, and then met my wife. Both her and I went to high school together, graduated together. We didn't really know one another, which was kind of funny.
Okay.
Avon wasn't really that big, so we only had about
Pretty big
200.
today.
Yeah, it's grown a lot in the
much
last
like-
30 years. We graduated in 1988, and I went to school at the bustling school of Vincennes University, so played a little golf down there.
Nice.
And came back, and then Sherry and I met and kind of got connected, and I think that was history, man. I mean, got married in 1993. We have two wonderful kids, Austin and Cassidy, and they're now kind of adulting, I guess. I don't know. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Sure, they're off the payroll.
They're off
So,
the
yes.
payroll. It's
Yeah.
true. They're off the payroll, man. And the house is empty, but they're close. They live here in Carmel with us, so it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about Wisconsin quite a bit. I guess I'm not sure I realized you had moved here that early.
Yeah.
But you go back to Wisconsin quite a
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
We
We're
follow
back
each other.
there 5-6 times a year. We were just up there this past weekend for a wedding. So any kind of family stuff like that, we go back for sure. My dad still lives there. My grandma's going to be 100 here in a couple months.
That's awesome.
She's
Yeah.
99 and smart as a whip, dude. Like whip smart.
Wow.
Still tells me she better keep your stuff straight.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cindy's grandfather lived to be 105, and I would say at least 102 or 3 of those
Yeah.
years, like, still pretty with it. And I never had a grandfather growing up because they had passed before I really knew what was going on. Love just kind of pulling that string and just
Yeah.
letting them talk, because you think about what they've witnessed
my
in 100
gosh.
plus years.
Yeah.
And he would just tell stories and never got old.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
grandmother, she does have a really cool story, but she met my grandfather in World War II in England.
Wow.
So they were married in a bomb shelter during an air raid, which was
Wow.
pretty wild. So she
Yeah.
tells that story a lot. And then just like her early life, man, just crazy, because you think about like how we live today comparatively to what that had to be like back
Right.
in those days. And And then she took a Red Cross boat to the United States. So she talks about this. They had to zigzag across the Atlantic before they got to New York. And it's kind of funny because she said then I had to take a train from New York City through Chicago and up to La Crosse, Wisconsin is where the train station depoted. And so my grandfather, so understandably, all my family's from Norway. They immigrated from Norway back in the mid to kind of later 1800s.
Okay.
So, so my grandpa's dad, my great grandfather, picks her up at the train depot, brings her back to the farm, and the first thing she says, she's like, "Hey, I need to use the restroom. Where's it at?" And he just points outside. And I ask her, I'm like, "What did you think?" And she's like, "What did I just do?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But they were married for 66 years, man. And yeah, it was pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome. So did your grandfather come over? So it would have been your great grandfather.
Well, it would have been my great great grandfather.
Okay.
So,
was his name Thor by chance?
No, there's like, man, it's funny because we have a family tree at home. I'm on the Leum side of our family, which the Olsen side is kind of the same, but dates back to like 1500. And some of the names are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, very Norwegian, kind of Scandinavian names.
Viking-esque.
In my mind, I think that,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It'd be fun to go back and kind of meet these dudes.
Right, yeah.
Right?
I've
never been to
I feel like they'd be hard to
been.
go.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you been back to Norway?
No, we're talking about, my dad really wants to go back. So
well, I got a good idea. What if we take both podcasts?
That'd be fantastic.
Do some episodes from Norway.
I'd be down. Fly into Oslo, shoot a couple there, go to a fjord.
Yeah.
A bar on the way.
Or two. Yeah.
Or two. It's kind of funny because building a refuge, our acronym is BAR. It wasn't planned that way.
Oh, yeah.
But the acronym is BAR.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. People are like, "Oh, did you guys plan that?" And I'm like, "No.
No, it's just where we met.
We were like, well, okay, so a bar is a bar, right?"
Yeah.
Some of the best business ideas or ideas in general have been written out on cocktail napkins.
Yeah.
Right?
Just saying.
Over a nice old-fashioned.
Yeah.
I mean,
or
come on.
something else, whatever you're feeling.
Whatever
right?
you fancy.
Yeah.
Spotted cow.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it. So before we get there, real quick. So how we met? I think we met through Team Heroes.
We did.
And that probably goes back. Gosh.
I think like 2009, 2008.
Yeah, I was
somewhere in there.
over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We were both like 15.
Somewhere in there. It might have been 20.
Yeah,
maybe.
We were just learning how to ride bikes without.
I literally was learning how to ride bikes.
We just took our training wheels off.
Yeah.
And so you guys, your family, everyone, your wife, your kids have been really supportive of the Heroes Foundation, have helped us out at numerous events.
Yeah.
You took that experience, I would say, and that has kind of helped roll into what you guys are doing now. So let's talk about building a refuge. Share with us about what that organization is, what you guys do, and then you can talk about your podcast as well.
Absolutely. So we started the organization in 2018, myself and co-founder Eric Robinson. And one of the big reasons we did, I lost my brother in 2015 by suicide. And I always tell people this, I didn't feel like I had to do this, but I think much like you, Vince, you go through a life experience and it gives you a passion to either bring awareness, help people, or at least draw attention to the importance around it. In the case around Heroes Foundation, obviously cancer awareness, preventative, I call it preventative maintenance, right? Doing those things are very important. We know that, I know that, hopefully the audience knows that. And that's kind of where this kind of comes into play, right? Yeah. When Eric and I sat down, we thought about this, we were all just sitting around like this at a coffee house one morning, and we were like, man, we need to come up with something where guys can just come and be guys. Like Eric and I are not therapists. I'm not a clinical therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm nothing. I'm just a dude with a story, okay? And so we were like, how can we create something where we don't have any expectation? There's really not a plan to it. So when you think about like what a meeting looks like, but we can create this environment where people can network, and maybe they can just talk to somebody that might be walking in the same shoes that they're going through or have been through, right?
Yep.
And so that's kind of how it started. In 2018, we had a really good kickoff. So we put on a couple of events, partnered with Fishers High School, some local folks that came in and did some talks and so on and so forth. And got a really nice kind of kickoff. Well, then COVID hit, right? And COVID just kind of took everybody, I think, a few steps back. Mm-hmm. We tried to do this virtually. It kind of worked. We have some pretty cool stories of a few different meetings that we did virtually. But then once we kind of got through the back end of COVID and started to kind of get our wheels back underneath us, the last real 24 months has really been kind of a nice, I think kind of propel to where we're at today. And so at the end of the day, we're a men's mental health support group. That's what we are. And I always tell people, because they'll ask me like, well, what are you kind of in this bigger picture of mental health, mental wellness? And I said, well, we really want to be the tip of the spear is what we want to be. And what I mean by that is if somebody is talking to somebody or somebody, somebody's going through something or whatever, we want to be that organization. Somebody says, hey man, go check these guys out. Yep. Because of exactly what I said. We're not going to put any expectation on them. We're not going to expect anything out of them, and just come and hang out. Right? Much like what we're doing right here, we're learning about one another. We're learning about what our lives look like. I mean, I've known Vince now for a while, and we were sharing some of the things that I'd learned from the Heroes Foundation to give me confidence enough to even do this, right? Because, I mean, I wouldn't have known at all kind of how to even start a nonprofit, kind of what to do as the nonprofit starts to grow, kind of putting structure around it. And so I'm grateful for that, man. You know what I mean? Super grateful to have that, because I think that's what networking does.
Yeah. There's probably some parallels. I'm certainly no mental health professional by any means, but there's probably some parallels between our two orgs in that those who go through the cancer experience, whether they're the patient or the caregiver or just a family member, it can be a mind.
It can be,
so I would suspect that there are services that you guys could provide to men going through that experience in some capacity that they might find benefit from.
Well, what we try to do is, so we host monthly meetings. One of our big supporting organizations or companies here in the city is Harley-Davidson of Indianapolis. We kind of started to, I don't know if you want to say lean on them. I ride, and so I have some other, I'm part of the local hog chapter or whatever, but David Dellin, the owner of the Harley-Davidson of Indianapolis dealership in Fishers, has been fantastic to us. What I mean by that is he just lets us use his facilities for whatever we want to use them for. So we have monthly meetings there. We do one of our events there. We just had it a couple weeks ago called the Rock and Ride for Hope. And it's fantastic because what it does, it allows us to have this kind of space where like a motorcycle shop isn't too intimidating. Like pretty much anybody can pop into a bike shop and not feel like, oh, wow, I don't know if I can be here, right? Yeah. And so what we want to do, to your point, Vince, is if somebody, like we've had a lot of people. Matter of fact, we're gonna shoot an episode here coming up of a gentleman that was a caretaker. You understand this personal life experiences. You see this. My dad was. My stepmom we lost a little over 2 years ago now, and what my dad did for 4 years, but really the last 24 months of her experience, she ended up with a side effect of the tumor that she had, so she was paralyzed. And so my dad basically got her out of bed every day, washed her, bathed her. She was able to, eat because she had mobility in her upper extremities. But, as time goes on, you're dealing with bed sores, you're dealing with different parts of things that are not pretty. Yeah. And my dad still is dealing with it today. But what I'm grateful for is, and I get humbled by this, man, because I'm a believer of Christ, and I believe that he puts us in places where he wants us. And the fact that like my dad can sit down and we can have a conversation and he can express himself and be angry, right? Be pissed about what he had to do and what he's had to go through. And I can listen because I've learned through this to just sit there and listen. And that's the best thing that we can do. That's the best thing that we can do, man, is just when somebody comes our way is just sit and listen to them. Because sometimes when they go to a counselor or they go to, a professional, and they're all needed, they may not listen to everything that somebody's got to say, where they're more trying to diagnose. Like, we're not diagnosing anything. I mean, I just want to meet a new friend and be able to connect them with somebody that maybe they can help them at the end of the day.
Right, providing an outlet. Yeah. Goes back to sales skills, right? Listening is key.
We only get 2 ears.
That's true.
I have been told I talk a lot. So.
Well, but we know when to listen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you probably kind of alluded to it. Brandon, what is your cancer story?
Well, so man, now that when I go back and think through it, of all the family members that we've had that have battled it, and they're pretty close. I mean, I've had a lot of family members. I got a stepdad right now that's going through it. He's got lung and it metastasized to his brain, and KD is he's been good to us our entire life, man. So, but yeah, he's dealt with it. My stepmother's dealt with it. And we've seen it from different places, and I've seen it through the Heroes Foundation, man. I mean, we've seen a lot of people. I just had a great friend 2 weeks ago, Luann Cowan. She owned a pharmacy over in Lebanon, Indiana, called Cowan Drugs. Been there for 70 years.
Yeah.
And she just lost her battle, man. And that was hard because we played a lot of golf together and hung out a lot together. And I learned a lot from her in my young career. She was a customer of mine when I started in sales.
Okay.
And so it impacts people, man. And I think without having this experience and what Vince has done and your whole family through the Heroes Foundation, man, I mean, you get exposed to it and you have compassion for it.
Mm-hmm. Turning emotion into action is what we like to call it.
Yeah.
Huge key.
Yeah.
Proud of what you guys are doing. Glad that we helped out in any way, directly or indirectly, with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I try to be real as I can about stuff, right? And what the Heroes Foundation does. One, obviously, I love cycling. You mentioned it earlier, right? I mean, that's how I got tied into this. But I mean, even that, it was a great experience, because I always have said, all the guys that are a part of the Heroes Foundation, the team heroes, anyways, helped me understand cycling. Like I knew how to ride a bike, right? I mean, you grow up on a farm. I mean, you learn how to dirt bikes, drive tractors, but and I've always been a fairly, active guy, and I got into running later in life around 27. So Brad Baumgartner, one of our good friends, he was like, "Hey man, you want to go for a ride one day with the team?" And I'm like, "I don't know about that, man. They're all like, they're in these tight suits," and I'm like, "I don't know, I'm a little intimidated, right?" I wasn't sure about it. He's like, "You'll be fine, man." He's like, "You're in shape, you'll be good." And so we borrowed a bike, borrowed a set of shoes, and I went on a ride with like 40 dudes. And I'd never experienced like what that was all about. But he's like, "Look, man, just stay on my wheel and just listen to me." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's what I'll do."
Yeah.
And he navigated me through the day, which was a great experience. It was like 50 some miles. And, I mean, if people know when you ride at, anywhere from 18 to 24 miles an hour, like, you're humping, man,
Yeah.
So I didn't have the balls to get out and pull at that point in time, but, I learned that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to pull at some point. So, But it's been a great experience. Look, I'd tell anybody, man, just, challenge yourself, right? Get uncomfortable, and you'll definitely learn something. I mean,
that's key.
Yeah.
Get uncomfortable. And that's what you guys are doing as well. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Whether it's starting a business or starting an organization like this, starting a podcast.
Yeah.
We had a guest with a different podcast, and younger guy, probably 38-ish, and he said, my leading up to where I am now, it's all because I said yes to a lot of things that I never thought I would say yes to, and probably in my mind thought, I don't know if I'm going to like this, but what the hell?
Yeah.
Sure. That's what part of it's about.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. I mean, I would have, our podcast, is called Building a Refuge, or The Bar. We call it The Bar Podcast, right?
Yeah.
Building a Refuge. It was funny how that even got started. Vince and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. We had a gentleman, Clark Crosser, one of my dear friends now today through Building a Refuge, come to one of our meetings organically that I was talking about at Harley Davidson, and he lost his son in 2021 by suicide. I think Adam was 22 years old, if I remember right. And I apologize, Clark, if I'm off on that. But one of his friends said, "Hey, you should go check these guys out. It's just a good place to go hang out." And, they address this. So we found out that Clark shoots podcasts. We were like, wow, we were trying to figure this thing out. I didn't know the first thing about shooting a podcast. He's like, well, hey, come on in. We'll shoot a demo. And now we've dropped, I think we put 50 episodes out.
Nice.
And I was telling Vince a little bit earlier, we even have, because it's all about content, right? I mean, it's just keeping content rolling. We have an opportunity where we can do live shoots. So we partner with Indie Coffee Roasters in Carmel.
Yep.
Diane lets us come in there about 6:00 in the evenings, and we do it once a month. And we have guests. That's where we really bring in guests, though, that are more educated than I am when it comes to this. Because I'm not. Again, I didn't go to school for this. I don't. I don't know this.
Yeah.
When it comes to mental health. So like we've had AFSP in, we've had some addiction treatment centers come in, we've had some folks from the VA come on and talk a little bit about some of those services because we do have a veterans arm of what we do. So thank you to all of our veterans. So yeah, man, I mean, it's just interesting how these things happen. But like I said before, I think kind of Christ leads you in these ways, and you may not know what he's doing, but you're just like, all right, man, I'm going to follow along, and here we go.
Yeah. You just sparked an idea. I may have another guest for you. Or a guest idea.
Yeah.
I'll share that with
It's
you
how
later.
they happen. This. I mean, you guys are doing this. I mean, it's just how it happens, right? Or you talk to somebody, and they're like, oh, man, I'd love to do that, and come on and share a story. And that's how it happens.
Yeah. Well, and you guys may have this as well. Daniel, I have our prospect list, right?
Yeah.
But it's in a couple different buckets.
Yep.
We have the A bucket, which is people will probably never get.
You got
but
it.
We're like, hey,
you can ask.
Very attainable.
Yeah. Pat McAfee, if you want to come on.
Pat, you're welcome anytime.
That's right. It's fun.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Anytime you want to show up.
That's right.
We're good.
Yeah,
we'll do it remotely via Teams. It's fine.
We'll come to you, honestly.
That's right. We're mobile.
Yeah. I'm that creepy guy who's sliding people's DMs like, hey, you don't know me, but blah, blah, blah.
I think, being in sales, man, it's like, look, I've been told no a lot, so it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Whether it was from girls in college or cold calling. I've heard it a lot.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into that.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
But then you have your B bucket who are maybe more localized folks that might have some notoriety of some kind.
Have a connection with or things like that.
And
Might
then
not
you
know
have the
personally.
C
but
list and on down. And I'm not going to tell anybody whose list you're on. Doesn't matter.
I will for a price.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But it's all good. And I think Daniel feels the same way. I was sharing this with you earlier. How that's kind of all evolved. We have no experience with this.
Yeah.
Enjoy doing it, but it's sharing the stories.
That's right.
That's all. That's all it is.
That is. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And that's why I love doing it, because the more time you can get on this that somebody can listen to it, whether they're listening to it live on a channel or it's streaming, right?
Yeah.
I tend to like more streaming, like over audio, like Spotify, Amazon, things like that, because whether I'm walking, running, riding a bike, or in my car or whatever, I'm more able to tune in and listen for an hour or however long they run than I am to sit in front and watch it on a video. Now, it's also great to have it because I think people, if you can give them a visual experience of what this environment looks like,
sure,
it's helpful, right? Because they like to see kind of who's behind the mic or who's behind the podcast itself. But
and I'm sorry for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a haircut after we leave, so I need.
I will say
you
this:
look good. You got a good, like. There's people out there like this is a whole. You can do a whole show on this, like bald head. Like you got a good head for a bald head. You really do. I'm just saying.
It's a new segment we can add to the podcast.
I mean, you never know where it goes. Like,
I know.
You got a nice head of hair, right?
It could be awful,
Mine's
though.
gray. At least it's growing, right? I got to get a cut on
if
it.
I had hair, it would definitely be gray. I can show you that.
But some people don't have. They can't wear baldness.
Okay. I just have two T-shirt ideas.
That's good.
I will say this, and we have noticed this, and if you haven't yet, I'm sure you will. With the podcast, we've heard two things. Number one, obviously trying to bring notoriety or some additional exposure to the organization, which you guys are as well. However, what's been really rewarding is when guests or viewers or listeners come back and say, hey, you know what? Episode XYZ, I found it really helped me.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was very therapeutic, sharing the story or hearing the story or whatever. Like when you hear that, it's like, boom. That's why we keep doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a prime example. I was in Wisconsin this last weekend, right? And we hang out at this bar. We actually did shoot a remote podcast from it called The Helm. It's been in, I think it was opened up in like 1987 in La Crosse or whatever. So this guy comes up to me, and I've known him a little bit, right? Well, I shot a remote. It's trial and error, right? Vince, you know this. So I got a couple of the lapel mics, right? The wireless lapel mics. Yep. And I was over at Main Street Barber. I don't know, it's probably been a month ago now because the hair is pretty long. So Jason over there, I was like, hey, I called him. I said, hey, man, I want to try something today. I was like, would you be able to, kind of do an interview while getting a haircut? He's like, yeah, man, sure, I'll do it with you. And so we tried this. Well, this guy came up to me, and I would have thought, like, it was not great. You know what I mean? Like, I shot it on my iPhone. I had a couple of lapel mics. The sound was, I mean, you get a little critical when you start doing it like this, and you can hear things. But I was like, well, screw it, man. I'll try it. You know what I mean? So this dude comes up and he's like, man, that was the greatest. I love that interview. I was like,
all right.
I was like, okay, maybe we'll do it again. You know what I mean? I was like, but I would have never thought, like, I didn't even think probably, because I think when we were going live, there was like 2 people watching it, and I mean, one was probably my mom. So, it was like really one person watching it.
Yeah. Well, we have talked about that, the stats, if you will, of each episode and how you won. One episode you think is going to just knock it out of the park and it doesn't do much, and then one that you thought was all right, but like it blows up. And
there's no rhyme or reason to it at all.
I do have. You just gave me actually another idea. So we could do another road trip to Wisconsin. Like we all play golf.
Oh yeah,
Chris. If you don't play golf, I know you'll at least still tag along.
Yeah.
Maybe do a couple episodes from either Sand Valley or
Sand Valley. Played it. It's amazing. Like I played it about maybe a year and a half after it opened.
Okay.
Dude, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Like literally in the middle of nowhere. It's probably one of the coolest courses though. And the greens are as hard as this table. I mean, and what's crazy is like the guy, I'm from there, right? But I guess I never really took a lot of time to like look at like the land itself. Mm-hmm. But the reason the sand base there is about, the guy said like 20 feet deep.
Okay.
And the reason it's where I'm from in La Crosse, it's called the driftless area. My dad would get a kick out of that because he's like, whatever. But it's called the driftless area. And the reason is because back during the Ice Age, the glacier or the glacier it split that area. So it's split around it. And there's probably about, from east to west, I'd say maybe 100 miles. And then north to south, I'd say it's maybe 200 miles. But it splits just north of La Crosse, like up around Black River Falls. And then it kind of widens out and then it comes back together. Well, where it comes back together is, if you think about it, back then it's where all the deposits kind of started to lay in. And that's why the sand is so deep there. Hence why they call it Sand Valley.
Yeah.
And so the sand, like dude, I'm telling you, it is the hardest. It's the hardest greens I've ever like played on. Like you can think you can throw a wedge into a green and you'll have a pretty good ball mark. Dude, there's nothing. Like zero. And they don't replace their divots, like in the fairways and stuff like that. Right. They'll just come and reseed again, because of the sand. Like they won't grow, and it's easier to reseed it. Yeah. But like when you drive into the place, you feel like you're in a completely different country. Huh. It's wild, but it was kind of fun though too, because you got to understand it's built in the middle of like farming country. Yeah. So like you're playing this amazing golf course, and all of a sudden some dude just comes ripping by in a pair of overalls on a 4-wheeler with a case of beer strapped to the back of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm down with this, right?
Yeah. I will be up there end of July, so I'll scout it out and think, okay, where's a good spot we could set up shop?
Whistler would be nice.
We could do that too.
Whistler would be kind of cool.
All right.
Yeah. We do it. I'm down. I can go mobile anywhere. Right? See, I'm very blessed. I was telling Vince this earlier too. Like my day job, right? I'm very grateful for the company that I work for because I can work remotely. Yeah. And so I can pop up, and that's what is helpful because I can go hang out with my dad and family and stuff like that, and still actually do some work while I'm there.
Right. Yeah. Well, that'll be our testing ground for the Norwegian remote.
Oh yeah.
Business trip.
Yeah. Business.
Yeah. We got to test all the logistics before we go that far from home.
What a better place to do it in than Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And now everyone out here is just rolling their eyes like, what the hell?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Indiana's fun. I'd be down to going down to the golf course down at the university. I haven't played it.
I have.
It's not easy.
It was early on, and it needed to grow in. Yeah. It is not easy.
No, that's what I've heard. It's not easy.
Margin of error was very slim because you go from fairway to like literally a couple of yards of rough, and then you're in this heather fescue crap. It's like, well,
yeah. Or the Donald Ross course down at French Lick. That'd be kind of fun.
Right. Yeah. Okay, we got options.
We know some people around.
No shortage of courses for us too.
Brickyard would be a fun one to do it at. That'd be a good one.
All right.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Like that's the one thing Clark has taught me, and I'm so grateful to him. Like being able to set up remotely has been really good. Now we've advanced because I told Clark, I said, look, man, all I need is a camera, microphones, and we can run. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so now our guy that helps us with our website, Mike Parsons, he's a super guy. He's done something through OBS technology. Okay. It's like you can put a framework or so way better than I do. Yep. All I know is once he gets it set up, I just hit this button and then it does what it's supposed to do.
Yep. That's me. Tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
Which button to press?
Yeah, because I'm like, if it breaks, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And I'm just going to fall back to the camera. He's like, yeah, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah. Kind of wrapping things up here. We wish you guys at Building a Refuge nothing but success.
Thank you.
I'm proud for what you're doing and pursuing this. We touched on this a little bit earlier. What is your vision for the future?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd love, like we talked earlier, man, I'd love to be able to do this full time. You know what I mean? I think that what I've learned and the positive feedback that we've gotten from people, I think it's needed. You know, I think the stigma is absolutely still running wild today in the world of mental wellness, mental health. We see it a lot when we do different meetings or you know, events or whatever. I had lunch with an accounting company today that we're going to partner with, and people will hear it soon. Great organization, but they're culturally on board with where we're at and what we're doing and kind of what they're doing. But I told the CEO today, I said, listen, if you want to see somebody run for the hills, just invite them to a mental health meeting at a restaurant or a church or something like that. You won't have one person show up outside of my mom and maybe my wife, right?
Yeah.
Because no dude's going to come to it. Mm-hmm. And so I say that because the stigma still is heavy today. And what we want to do is we just want to start to remove it and make this a normal conversation. Because I always tell people this, like this water bottle, right? This water bottle's 3/4 or more the way full. I mean, if that's the way I felt today, I'd be feeling pretty good, right? If it was down to the bottom, you know, my batteries are running low today. You wake up that way every day. The older I get, it's a little bit harder to recharge them.
Yeah.
But mentally, it's the same thing. I mean, we all wake up in either a solid state of mind, or we wake up some days that are not that, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like we say, it's okay to not have a great day. Mm-hmm. But it's if you tell somebody that, they immediately think something's wrong, right? But so anyways, to your question, I would love to be able to do this full time one day. I believe in my heart I will be able to do it. It just takes time, you know, like anything else. As my profession, I've been in healthcare sales pretty much my whole professional career, and I just, you know, you want it now, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just have to have some patience as it relates to what we do. But we've had some great supporting companies that have helped us out. You know, great people that have helped us out. Like I said, Vince and the Heroes Foundation. I wouldn't have had the confidence to do this, like I said, if I hadn't had this experience with this organization. So I'm really grateful to you, man.
Well, you're welcome. I know it probably went like, well, shit, if Vince can do that, it shouldn't be that hard.
I was a little intimidated, you know, when I first met this guy. I was like, man, he's got all his shit together here.
There's not much to be intimidated by. I will tell you this. I like the vision. Daniel and I will up that and challenge you to think about beyond Brandon.
Yeah.
I mean, well, none of us are living forever.
Yeah, amen. So that's a great, I'm glad you bring that
think
up.
About that.
Yep.
So here, you're asking me now, right?
We don't need an answer now. I'm just saying, we're just challenging you to think about that.
Yeah.
So you have the brand, you have the organization.
Yeah.
If part of it doesn't, there's no
it's
wrong
there.
answer.
Yeah.
But if you said, hey, I want Building a Refuge to be here 50 years from now.
Well, the big goal.
I'm not going to be here.
I'm going to take this opportunity because the big goal would be is if somebody's listening out there and we are 501c3, thanks to Vince, right? You got to do your legit paperwork, right? Yep. I would love to have the ability to have a structured place, like a structured environment, right? Mm-hmm. Like a place.
Sure.
So 5 acres, nice barn dominium, little place to hang out, you know what I mean? So, well, think about it, right? Where's a guy going to come, right? Yeah. And they're not. I'm not building a church, right? I'm not building some padded wall room. I'd love to have a place where dudes could come and hang out, right?
I mean, that's golf sim.
Yeah, golf sim, pool table. You know what I mean? Couple bedrooms. I mean, because here's the deal. In all reality, man, my brother needed a time out of life. Okay. That's what he needed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have saved him. I'm not going to sit here and pronounce that, but if he had a place just to come and hang out for a week where nobody put any expectation on him, I believe it would have helped. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it would have saved him, like I said, but I believe it would have helped. And I know there's guys out there that probably could use the same thing. Because here's the deal. In this world, when you get to that effort point, you're going to go to one of 3 places. You're going to go to jail. Mm-hmm. You're going to go to a hospital where you don't want to be, either a padded room, or you're going to die. It's 3 areas that I've seen in this that happens. And it sucks. It's plain and simple. It just sucks. So that's why we do this, man. We want to try to create something where, you know, we can build an outlet. You know what I mean? But that would be the big goal, man. And you leave a legacy behind, right? I mean, you leave something behind when I'm gone. My son has been a big part of this. He's kind of embraced it. You know, I'm so proud of him. He just came up about a month ago. He's been a little over a year sober, so he had kind of a run-in with alcohol, and I don't think he would have felt comfortable to address it like he did with even my wife and I if it wasn't for us promoting, like, it's okay to raise your hand.
Right.
It's okay to raise your hand. And I'm super grateful for him, man. He's been a huge help to us. And so I'm hoping one day he can take it and run. You know, I don't want to, like, I just told this to somebody the other day, man. I didn't do this just to go, oh, I want to run it for 10 years and then shut it down. Like, I don't want that to happen. So that's the flip side of what I don't want to have happen.
Yeah.
Right. No, I like that. I mean, we got to set lofty goals. And if that vision is, all right, I want this thing still humming after I'm gone.
Absolutely.
Then, all right, what do I need to think about that now and start putting the pieces.
Yeah, but again,
place.
man, I listen, man. I see what the Heroes Foundation does. You know what I mean? I've been to all the events. I see it, and it's a great model. Like, you've done great stuff, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great model for what we're doing. I think that's the parallels for sure.
Cool.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Well, let us know how we can help.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for much having me on, man.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being here.
You bet.
Thank all you guys for joining us and listening to the golf stuff, the Wisconsin stuff, but really the meat of the episode. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope it's helped some of you out. Feel free to throw in the comments how we can be of service to you if you need it. And in the end of the day, don't forget, guys, this is all about Beat Cancer.
Amen.